Hi YouTube, it's Mama Dodon, and this channel is about all aspects of my financial life. I'm currently doing a little catch-up series right now to tell you guys month by month what happened throughout the entire year 2021 because I did not post any videos. So I just made a video yesterday telling you guys about what happened in the month of September, I believe. Let me check. Yes, September. And at the end of that month, I had paid off all of my debts minus some money that I owed my father, which was not incurring any interest, and a $30,000 car lease, which was my estimated value of my car lease because at the time I had no idea what my car was worth and I had no idea what I was going to do with that lease. I was so worried about all of the smaller debts in my debt snowball that I just shoved the lease to the wayside and said I'm going to ignore it. I don't want to look at it. I don't even want to think about the disaster of this car until the time comes. And at the end of September 2021, that time had come. So let's just talk about this car that I got. The car, I have been in 2 leases since starting my debt-free journey. My original car was a much more affordable little Toyota Corolla, and my ex ended up totaling that car, leaving me with a double deductible because it got totaled, so I had a $2,000 deductible for that. And then my insurance company kind of screwed me because they also charged me for a break-in that occurred on the car while it was on the side of the road. So I had 2 deductibles of $4,000 for this stupid car. So I ended up with that, and it got totaled out, and I was left with $4,000 I had to pay. Then I went and got a new car because I had no car. I needed one. My ex took me around shopping for them. Every single one that I picked out ended up having huge issues from the mechanic if they were used. And finally, I was just disgusted and I gave up and I just got a brand new car and I leased it so it would have an affordable payment. So in the lease agreement, I was paying $400 a month for 35 months for the lease. So here are some important terms to keep in mind in regarding the lease. That doesn't sound like I said that right, in terms of the lease. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of look down and read it because that's the easiest thing to do. But the lease ends in August 2022. So in September of 2021, I had about 1 year left on this lease. I had a mileage limit on the lease. I could only go to 36,000 miles, and anything over that would be an additional 10 cents a mile that I would be owing if I returned the lease to the dealer. At September 2021, I was sitting at 30,000 miles on my car. That means for a year left, I could only put 6,000 miles on the car without going over my lease agreement. And then I could buy out the car, and the buyout price of the car was $25,305. So at this point in time, I was really like, what are my options? Like, what can I even do with this lease? Okay, so I had a lot of different options. One option that I looked into was that I could transfer the lease to another person who would finish the lease. And there are websites that can help you facilitate this. And then it would basically absolve me of everything that has to do with having that lease. Someone else now takes responsibility for it, and that leaves me the wiggle room to go out and get a more affordable used car. I could also just take out a loan and buy the Honda Pilot today and just do it at the buyout price of $25,305, and that would leave me with a car payment at the time I estimated of $800 a month. Or I could just go ahead and prolong things and finish out the lease and then take out a loan to buy the car when the lease was finished. So that would take me from about $400 a month on the lease payment to $600 a month on a car payment. But I wouldn't be making the extra $200 a month payment until a year had gone by. I could also just finish the lease in its entirety and return the car and get a used car. That would mean I would have $400 a month for the next 12 months. And then I would potentially have a penalty if I went over the mileage or had any kind of damage done to the car that they were going to charge me for. But once I got out of that lease and paid the damage fees, I could go and get a more affordable used car with a much lower payment. Or I could try to just end the lease early and get the dealership to take it back. When I looked that up, my fees were going to be about $6,000 upfront to get rid of the car and just move on and get a different car loan that would be hopefully lower and more affordable. Okay, so when I started researching my Honda Pilot, I was specifically really leaning towards buying it out and then trading it in for a used car. And when I looked at that option, I could buy it out at $25,305, but the Kelley Blue Book value, because the price of used cars has gone up so much due to shortages in new cars right now, the Kelley Blue Book value was over $28,000. So that would leave me about $3,000 of wiggle room to be able to buy out my car, trade it in, have $3,000 to put towards a new used car. At the time, this option seemed like my best option. So in October, I believe, let me check my paperwork here to make sure that I'm telling you guys the story correctly. Yep, in October, I just sat on the car and did a bunch of research. And then in November, I decided I was just going to bite the bullet. I was going to go into the dealership and figure out what my options were for just buying the car and getting out of the lease. And then I could start looking into trading in the car for a more affordable used car with that $3,000 leeway, if that was true, if the value was over what I was going to be paying for it to get out of the lease. The lighting is so annoying in this, I was going to say apartment, I'm in a hotel room. As you guys know, if you've watched my previous videos, this is my catch-up time because my daughter is with her paternal side of the family, and that sun is so bright, I look like a ghost. Well, I apologize for the lighting fluctuations, but I don't really want to postpone this anymore because there's a lot of videos I got to make in a short amount of time. So anyways, in November, I ended up going ahead and switching my lease and figuring out my buyout options for it. So I did go in. It was actually valued at $25,305. That is what I was going to spend to buy it out, and it was in fact worth a $28,000 trade-in value. So I could literally buy it out and trade it in the same exact day and make $3,000, which is pretty miraculous and just really good timing and very lucky to get to that. So I ended up getting a loan, a 2% car loan, which is very low for a car loan. And it was over a 5-year period and with a monthly payment of $550 a month, which is $150 more than what I was paying on my car lease a month. And as you will see in future budget videos, that is where I am sitting at right now. I have looked at a couple used cars and I have debated doing the used cars, but I also figured I can go ahead with as low of an interest rate as it is and just continue to put as much as possible to my Honda Pilot until I find a used car that meets my specs, or I just pay off my Honda Pilot entirely. I'm not really sure which way I'm leaning on that yet. I know the smart thing to do would be to trade it in and get a more affordable used car. But I just feel like if I can pay off this Honda Pilot really quickly, like within a year, then I have that car, I have it set. It's really my only loan left. So if I can just really wipe that out, then I'm sitting on a car that'll last me probably about a decade before I would have to even consider getting a new car. But for now, I am keeping my eye out on used cars, and I am just putting as much money as I can towards that Honda Pilot for the time being, putting a little bit of extra towards it each month, as you guys will see in my budget recap videos over the next couple days. And that's just kind of where I'm sitting at with my car. So I'm no longer in a car lease, I'm in a car loan, and I know that if I called Dave Ramsey and told him this, he would be like, what in the world are you thinking? You make $20,000 a year and you got a $25,000 car. It's absurd, absolutely ridiculous. Huge payment, biggest payment I have for debts, but that is where I'm sitting at the moment while I kind of give myself a break to figure out what to do next with that. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, and tomorrow I will be telling you guys about what has happened over the next 3 months in 2021, because I've been doing monthly recap videos. So everything that happened from October to December will be covered over the next few days, and I'll get you guys entirely caught up on financially where I'm at and what's going on and how much money I was able to put towards my car over those last few months. So if you're interested in seeing that, please come back the next few days. And then hopefully I will also have time to kind of tell you guys about my goals for 2022 and what I'm looking at doing moving forward in the next year. So as always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.